we find some internal tension in how Israel addresses what's happening with the Palestinians. We understand that what we are feeling is very frustrating. The PA is only very partially functioning, especially when it comes to doing what it has committed to do as part of Oslo. It only just conducts itself on a civil level and also in a very limited way. On the other hand, we have Hamas. People talk about this less, but I now have an article out called What Do We Do with Hamas as part of the Middle Eastern Forum. And in it I said that if the moment will come when Hamas will have enough, then we will need another policy vis-a-vis Gaza as well. And here too, with the Palestinians, we know that when we see Abu Mazen and he's 87 years old, his father lived to 104, so I don't know what that means, but he may, near the end of his days, he may have to retire from the political stage, and he doesn't believe in it. He obviously thinks he's immortal, but that may happen. And we ask ourselves, what do we do with this reality? Because on the one hand, we have this framework that we have built, and it's become an integral part of our life. Oslo, the Palestinian Authority, how can we even imagine a world without it? It's been around for the last 30 years. On the other hand, we are very, very, very frustrated with the content that fills this PA, whether it is Abu Mazen's policy, and he is already the positive hope, or anyone else who may actually come after him, who doesn't seem much better than him. And we would very much like to be in a reality where there is a Palestinian Authority, but the content in it is much different. One that promotes some kind of peace, some kind of idyllic peace between Israel and the Palestinians. And the question is, can we reach the situation where we can preserve the framework of the Palestinian Authority but change the content? And my answer is no. Unfortunately, the answer is no. The Palestinian leadership today has no figure, no person who can take upon themselves any new, refreshing approach of promoting peace with Israel. True, the only hope we do have is that the continued development of the normalization process, bringing Saudi Arabia into the picture and so on, will in time, in some years' time, leave the Palestinians to think about this and make a difference, make a change. But right now there is no one in the leadership that can do that, and that's why when we look at the realistic scenarios, not the kind of wondrous scenarios that maybe could have been, and that which would be a change of direction in the PA and a change of content, Mordechai here is reading the booklet so well and so intently. But another change may not have been bad either. If we would have gotten to Moti Keidar's famous Emirati scenario, but that too unfortunately doesn't look like it's happening tomorrow morning unless it'll happen in another context. So what are the scenarios that are possible? There are three. The first is that Fatah will continue to be in power, either through Hussein al-Sheikh and Majid Faraj, who we know are not very popular, not very charismatic. Their chances of getting support is very slim, are very slim, and they are seen as part of the corruptive mechanism of the current Palestinian leadership. But it doesn't matter how corrupt they really are, that's how they're being seen. And the chances of their garnering the kind of support they need in order to stay in power is not very high. The security apparatuses will probably support them, maybe some of Fatah too, but they will have to face challenges and we're not sure they will survive them. Within this scenario, there are also other parties that may try to challenge these two men, and everyone is preparing for the moment when the gong will sound and they will have to pounce into this race. And what we're worried about is that within this well-known and familiar list of people are those that may collaborate with Hamas in order to reach the target, to reach the goal. And that includes Dakhlan and Barouti and Nasser al-Kidwe. All of these men may not overlook the possibility of collaborating with Hamas in order to garner the popular support in order to reach this goal. In this context, we are also asking ourselves, how will the power be passed on, be transitioned? Maybe there'll be some appointment of Hussein al-Sheikh, or maybe they'll try to go to elections. Supposedly they are supposed to go. Protocol says that they should, but we have to be very careful with the possibility of either Barouti or Hamas being part of these elections. There is a section in the Oslo Accords, I don't see the legal lists here, but that actually is prohibited by the Oslo Accord. It says that the conditions that are met, or the terms met by these two men in order to promote their political goals, are things that you cannot do if you are in elections. We were supposed to stop Hamas from partaking in the elections at the time because of these sections in Oslo Accords, but we were forced or kind of pressured by the United States to allow them. We will hopefully not repeat that mistake again. Hamas's involvement and participation, we see Hamas preparing, we see Hamas gaining weapons. We don't see Hamas weapons that is supposed to be used in D-Day in order to overtake the system. I think much of the weapons being smuggled from Jordan massively for that, and also some weapons that are maybe stolen from IDF bases, not for terror attacks, but for the day after. Hamas may collaborate with Fatah or may take over the system in other ways. We also can try to overtake without physically overtaking the territory. This is very problematic, and we may have to intervene. The third possibility is the PA collapsing, falling apart. In this scenario, may be very likely, because in every one of these areas, the local landlord, whether it is a group or an individual, is all prepared for this day and will overtake this area. Some of these areas may be taken by Hamas, like Hebron, where Hamas is strong, or parts of Hebron where Hamas has a stronghold. In some places they can have local landlords from within Fatah or people within the refugee camp, but in some areas this is already the case. Everyone is feeling comfortable and enjoying the fact that the PA is giving them civil utilities, but they look to Hamas for other things. And so under the first scenario, mostly, and also the second scenario, if those in power want to maintain this framework called the PA, in the third scenario, this will not be possible. This actually means that the PA will fall apart, and then Israel will have to work with local authorities, with local powerful individuals, and it will not be something that Israel will be imposing from higher up, top down, but something that happens in reality that Israel will have to contend with.